Hello, Randy Rudd here to walk you through the Chicken Little outtakes, such as they are. We had very little outtakes, as you can imagine, because film cost a lot of money to a kid in high school. It's about $3.60 per cartridge, which was all the money in the world back then. So we didn't waste much film, so we did editing in camera so that we didn't have many outtakes. But we did have some, and you'll see them here. The first outtake happened on the first scene of the movie. I was foolish enough to volunteer my own car, and as Mariana Newberry and I were driving away from her home, my car broke down. There was a loud pop and the carburetor linkage had broken off, so I pulled over on the side of the road. This scene never made it into the film. And in this shot, I'm actually putting my car back together after that fall off the cliff. It took some things apart, including the headlight rim, and I'm putting that in as Steve Barber is helping to dress Gary Beebe for his Biff Musselwhite downtown parade shot. And here is the destruction by fire of an actual TR-3 car. As you can see, no expense was spared in the special effects of this movie. And in this terrifying scene, Buck Bagak, my pet chicken, was supposed to peck at me and Mariana Newberry in the car, but unfortunately, as you can see, Buck Bagak was uninspired on this shot. And now taking realism to new heights, we were actually trying a tracking shot where the camera followed along with Buck Bagak as he attacked the people in the car, but it didn't quite work. And this is a little collection of various shots of the chicken attempting to destroy the teen hangout, McEaplin's drive-thru restaurant. At the time, we considered the McEaplin's model an engineering triumph. After all, it was made with scissors and poster board and paste, but it did the job. Now, this shot was filmed about 3 in the afternoon on Sunday, July 20th, 1969. The reason I know that is because as Steve Jackson was sitting up on the tank in Sweetwater, Texas, where we had gone to film this shot, we were actually listening to the car radio as Neil Armstrong had just landed the lunar module on the moon. So it was very easy to remember this date. These were outtakes because we had decided that Steve didn't look anguished enough, at least not quite yet. And while it's not necessarily an outtake from the film, we did shoot this at the same moment. There was a jet parked next to the tank, and we couldn't resist doing this shot. Here's Richard Vanoy playing the general, and in this scene he decided to ad-lib and do a goofy general as I was screaming at him to straighten up and play it straight because we were running out of film. Now we come to an outtake from the Heavenly Rest Episcopal Church where we filmed the asylum scene quite on the sly. We snuck into the church one afternoon and got the shots with all of our costuming and with Gary Beebe screaming at the top of his lungs and made it out of the church without anyone ever knowing about it. I worked camera on this shot because Tom Grisham was needed to be Dr. Leary, who pushes by the stretcher. As we come into the room, you'll notice Bill Maddox on the right-hand side in some sort of delirium tremors. And of course, that's Steve Barber doing his best Icky Twerp impression as the crazy man in my red long underwear. Oh, and the reason this is an outtake, as I recall, is that when Gary Beebe began his screaming, he managed to knock the covering off his hair, and since his hair was not spray-painted gold in the shot, we had to go with another take. Now here's a shot that never made it into the film. It's a billboard I painted on behalf of the Cavaliers for a dance that happened in September of 1970. Originally we were going to have this billboard in the film rather than the Chicken Little billboard that you see, but somewhere along the line that idea and this shot went away. Now here's Gary Beebe as Colonel Biff Musselwhite at his press conference, who's screaming for his life at the sight of the chicken re-entering his life, but being careful not to drop the sacred cigarette in his hand. If you listen closely, you'll hear Gary's actual sounds that were replaced later on the screen. After Gary Beebe had filmed his scenes as Biff Musselwhite in the downtown parade, of course dealing with the dead dog between his legs, we decided to head back to his home, and here he is relaxing out in his front yard with his hair still sprayed gold from the shoot as he's doing karate kicks for the neighbors in his underwear. So that's a thankfully brief look at the behind-the-scenes making of Chicken Little Walks Among Us, the outtakes.